What the fuck?
Jay, bend over.
Jeez.
It's time to find out.
Good evening, chocolatiers. Welcome back to Oktoberfest 2025. Today, we are picking up that eerie receiver one more time for The Black Phone 2, once again directed by Scott Derrickson and starring Mason Thames, Madeleine McGraw, and Ethan Hawke. Now, the sequel takes place a few years after the events of the first movie, and if you haven't seen that original movie, spoilers are ahead, because at the end of The Black Phone 2022, Finney kills the grabber and escapes his basement prison, and you think that was the end of it, but evil has a way of calling back. So going into Black Phone 2, my expectations were kind of moderate. I feel like there was some cautious excitement there that you could say, but the closer I did get into the theater, I did start getting a little hyped because I really liked that character. And this was the one I feel like I wanted to see all weekend out of all the movies that I watched. And a lot of people online were calling a sequel unnecessary, and honestly, I feel like that's just such a lazy critique. You know, if you love stories, if you love movies, then sequels are just part of that fun. It's like a video game. Like, you know, when I love a game, I want that sequel. And the question shouldn't be, is it necessary? It should be, is it good? And honestly, I do think that Black Phone 2 is pretty damn good. So getting into the plot, the film picks up a few years after the first. Finney has grown up. He's still carrying the scars of what happened in that basement with the grabber. And his sister Gwen is now the story's emotional center, the main focus, if you would. And that shift, I feel like, works really beautifully because it's telling two sides of a different story. And Gwen starts having haunting dreams again, this time leading her to a winter youth camp, a Christian retreat of sorts, where she and Finney meet. Or I guess they already have Robin's younger brother here to get introduced. And, they come here to investigate some things because once there, Gwen begins to realize the visions aren't just dreams. They're kind of like some warnings and some stuff going on because the grabber is back in a new, more supernatural form, and there is a reason for it. One that ties deeply into the mythology of the first film, only hinted at just a little bit with, you know, people coming back to life, stuff like that. And so that's where this sequel finds its footing because it expands the lore, answers a lot of questions that you really didn't even know that you had until you start watching it. And it starts deepening that emotional side of the story without betraying the tone of the original. Now, Madeleine McGraw absolutely shines here. I feel like she was my favorite character in the first movie, especially after rewatching it last week for the Oktoberfest video from yesterday. And seeing her take center stage, I feel like feels kind of earned. Her mix of faith, fear, and frustration really make her the perfect lead. Now, Mason Thames, on the other hand, isn't just sidelined. He is also the lead as well. And he does great work as Finney. He's older now, tougher, but still haunted by what happened. And that trauma informs every decision that he makes. And yes, Ethan Hawke is back as the grabber. And he is back in a way that I won't spoil, but he is as chilling and unpredictable as ever. And his presence really dominates the screen, even when he's not physically there. Now, what I loved about The Black Phone 2 is that it doesn't waste its sequel potential. It gives you the more answers that it starts expanding on in the first film, spiritual and supernatural elements, and it still keeps that focus personal. The dream sequences are gorgeous. They're eerie, static-filled, and surreal, and they feel like real nightmares. The winter camp setting adds a layer of claustrophobia, much like the first film, and it's bigger in scope, unlike the first film, than that basement, but it still feels very isolated, very trapped because they can't leave. There's a snowstorm, and having that snow and resilience makes it very silent. Now, the soundtrack is very killer. It's pulsing with that synthy 80s Stranger Thingy type vibe that feels very, for that Halloween feel, watch this movie in October. And emotionally, I feel like it works too. There's a couple of final scenes between Finney and Gwen that really land, and they're heartfelt, emotional, and give this story a genuine sense of closure. Now, even though I've been defending it, The Black Phone 2 is not perfect. At least for me. I feel like the biggest issue is pacing. This movie is nearly 2 hours long. I think it's hitting an hour 56 minutes. And it didn't need to be at all. The build up to the camp takes maybe 25-30 minutes. We can cut about 10 from there. And there are like multiple false starts before the plot starts kicking in. I feel like a tighter edit could have been elevated even more. Like, you just keep waiting for the grabber to show up, and then like you have like these false starts. I feel like there's also one major flaw. I feel like the same issue I had with the first movie, but it is a spoiler, so I will say that for the comments. If you are curious, drop a comment below, and I will let you know. Just be aware, do not check the comments if there are comments. And aside from that, I feel like it is a solid sequel that does more right than wrong outside of those few issues that I had. Now, at the end of the day, I feel like Black Phone 2 gave me closure that I needed, some surprises, and a few chills that I wasn't expecting. It doesn't feel like a cash grab sequel, even though it is. And it feels like a genuine continuation. I feel like it respects the first movie while building something new. And for a horror sequel, I feel like that's kind of rare. It is emotional, it's creepy, it's atmospheric, and honestly, I had a blast. So I would watch a Black Phone 3 if they made it, which they probably will. And so with that, I'm giving this film an 8 out of 10. It's a haunting, heartfelt follow-up that expands the lore, delivers a real emotion, even with a few pacing bumps along the way, and some other issues I had. But with that, that is another one down for Oktoberfest 2025. We're almost done with the month. Let me know down in the comments below, where do you rank the Black Phone 2 compared to the original? And if you're enjoying the series, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell, because the line is still open, and there are plenty more nightmares to come.
It's just a word.